Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to cover this story regarding a hospital worker dubbed Citi Bike Karen because she got into a confrontation with one particular black guy out of a group of 5 about renting a city bike. So in New York City, you can hop on these bikes, you pay with your card or whatever, and then you can rent the bike. So she hops on the bike and is surrounded by about 5 or 6 guys. The one guy in particular puts his hand on the bike, and while she's still on it, she is apparently wheeled back into the slot where the bike is engaged and therefore locked again. So in order to get the bike, you will have to pay for it again. So they go back and forth, and he's saying that it's his bike, and she's like, no, I paid for it. So take a look.
The story has been viewed by 10 million people online. Here is part of what happened outside of a hospital in New York as recorded on an iPhone.
Help! Help me! Please help me!
Not your bike.
Please help me!
It's not your bike. It's not your bike.
Please help me! Help! Please get off me!
What the what's going on,
Please get off me!
Yo, don't let him take it, bro.
Now you're not getting the bike, bro.
Yeah, now you're not getting the bike, bro.
Help!
You're not getting
Get
the
off
bike.
me,
I'm
dude.
not. Oh,
Why you took his phone? What's wrong with you?
stupid as something. You're not
Don't touch
touching
his
my
phone.
phone.
Do not touch his phone.
I'm not touching you. You putting your stomach on my hand.
My dude, stop. No, my dude, stop. No, no. I said no. I said sit down.
Please help me!
She's just crying.
You're not crying. You're not crying. I got
Stupid.
I got
It's
you on
my
video.
bike.
Wait, you
All right, we're going to explain what happened here. That is a pregnant woman in New York City, a physician's assistant, now placed on leave from the hospital, showing her arguing with a man over a rental bike while the small group crowds around and heckles her. Justin Marino is the attorney who represents that nurse with me in studio, and good morning to you. Her name is Sarah Comrie. She lives in New York. What happened here?
What happened is she got off a 12-hour shift at Bellevue Hospital, and she tried to go home. She went to a vacant bike where no one was touching, no one was on. She mounted the bike, she paid for the bike. She ended up actually pulling back off the docking station. And then around that time, these individuals were claiming that that was their bike. Someone pushed the bike while she was on it back into the docking station, so it locked again. And the rest of the video is shown. That's where the video picks up, where she is effectively fighting to.
Okay, so this video went extremely viral, and this woman has been labeled a Karen, basically implying that she is a racist. They said that she was weaponizing her tears, her crocodile tears, as BET referred to them as. They were referring to it as casual racism, no longer relegated to the dark, cameras catch everything. This woman was doxxed as well. So not only was her name revealed, but they went to her apartment. The media went to her apartment and were trying to get her to comment on the situation. So everybody knows where she lives now. And her lawyer said that she is in hiding. So we've had black media commentators comment on the story and label this woman a Karen, a racist. We've had articles like this from BET. It's possible a lot of black folks only saw what's probably happening in the Big Apple several times as I write this. Perfect strangers arguing over something stupid. We, however, can point at the exact moment in the video when Comrie went from simply arguing into something far more insidious and ominous. And then they write this. Black people recognize Comrie's attempt to weaponize her fake white tears, and they made sure the rest of the world recognizes it. Videos of the incident have been viewed millions of times on Tuesday, May 16. Comrie's employer, NYC Health Plus Hospitals, told the New York Post that Comrie, now affectionately dubbed Citi Bike Karen, has been placed on leave. So the hospital placing her on leave essentially validates people's claims of racism, essentially validates people's claims that this woman is a Karen and she tried to steal a bike from a young black man. So that's why this woman has contacted a lawyer. So let's take a look.
Why does she need an attorney?
She needs an attorney because there's a great fear that her employer is going to cater to the media and fire her. And that's where I come in as an employment attorney. She also needs an attorney to state the truth of what actually occurred.
Okay, to our viewers then, this is what's called Citi Bike.
Correct.
Like a lot of American cities now, you can pay for a bike and use it for a while. And she alleges that she paid for the bike, took it off the stand, was approached by 5 gentlemen, I think.
There was a number of individuals, correct.
About 5.
Correct.
They claim we had the reservation on the bike. She puts the bike back into the locking station. A minute later, she rents another one, essentially.
Correct.
And then eventually goes on her way. You have 2 receipts that show the time that she rented them. I've seen them. I assume you use this as your best evidence.
That's correct. And these receipts show that she rented the bike. The serial numbers match, so there's no question that the bike that she is on in that video is a bike that she reserved. And we know that she certainly didn't reserve that bike after this incident, which means she reserved it prior to the video taking place, which means it was her bike and she was the first one there.
So here's from this is New York Health and Hospitals, Bellevue, where the video involving a healthcare provider off duty and away from the hospital campus. The incident in the video is disturbing. The provider is currently out on leave and will remain on leave pending a review. As a health system, we are committed to providing an environment for our patients and staff that's free of discrimination of any kind. Is that what is at play here?
Well, there's a lot of at play. I mean, obviously her job is important. It's critical and they can do their investigation, take the time they need. But I mean, she's received death threats. You know, her family she's in hiding. You know, what's at play is what social media did to this woman who is literally a hero and has done nothing but help people, and within 1 minute, effectively tries to ruin her life.
But I'm keying in on this last line, free of discrimination. Do they allege this is racism?
That's what the media portrays, and that's what it looks like.
But that's what her employer is saying here.
Correct. That's what it looks like.
Okay, could this just have been an ugly miscommunication?
I mean, that's all effectively this is. Race has nothing to do with it. If the skin colors were the same, we would not be here today.
So as soon as this video went viral, people decided to just run with the narrative that this was a racist white woman who tried to steal a bike from a young black man who was surrounded by his friends. So there were like 5 of them. So she comes up to this black man, this group of black men, and decide to try and steal their bike. A pregnant woman who's a professional, a physician's assistant, has decided that she wants to go up to these black men and try and steal their bike. And then when it goes wrong, she starts crying, you know, victimhood. That was the narrative that was painted. Her tears are fake. She's shouting for help to signal to her fellow racists, you know, that she is in danger by these black men. Again, that was the narrative that was painted based on the video alone. So it's interesting that she has called a lawyer because she's in fear for her job. She's in fear that she's going to lose her job through no fault of her own. Now, I find it interesting that when the lawyer confirmed that he has seen the receipts, the serial numbers match up. When he confirmed that, people on social media were still saying that, how can we take his word for it? We haven't seen these receipts.
I think these black young men, specifically the one whose credit card was used to pull this bike out of the system, was attacked by a pregnant thug. Let's just call it what it is. Had this been reversed, everybody would have been up in uproar about how these black men have no care for life or people's rights or people's property. But when it's reversed, we talk about the first white man that ran up and tried to get them to reset the bike. Did you see at the end of the video, the young white man in black ran up aggressive as I'm assuming that pit bull was in Indiana. This is what happens when white women cry help, even when they don't deserve it. The exploitation of the word help in this case is unbelievable. The fake tears on demand is unbelievable. She should be tried for endangering her fetus, her unborn fetus. She put that child in danger. Because had that young man reacted in a different way when she pushed him for something that he's already used his resources to pay for, it would have been a whole different situation. So she should be liable, not just for battery on him, but the attempted battery that she could have caused that fetus. Then she should also be fired.
But did you ask for the receipts of the black man? Did you ask for his receipt to prove that it was his bike that he had rented? No, you didn't. Instead, this woman was called a racist, and even her tears were considered weapons, apparently. Crocodile tears. She shouting for help. A 6-month pregnant woman shouting for help again was just another weapon. So a lawyer making an official statement confirming that he has the receipts, that she purchased that bike. Apparently that can't be trusted. You need to see more evidence. But when it came to the initial video, you didn't worry about evidence. You ran with the narrative. Because in 2023, everybody wants to play victim. Everybody decides that they have no problem with a pregnant woman being targeted and harassed because she's white. So all the hospital cares about is covering themselves and not being accused of employing racists. They didn't care about her side of the story, though. They didn't really look out for their employee. They just went with the narrative that was put out there. But none of them were asked to produce receipts. So you ran with the narrative, and the hospital apparently ran with the narrative too. I hope she sues them. Marino said it wasn't just her job that the nurse was worried about. She received death threats. She's in hiding. What's at play is what social media did to this woman, who's literally a hero and has done nothing but help people, and within 1 minute effectively tries to ruin her life. The attorney says he is preparing lawsuits, saying there's no question some outlets defamed his client. She's been called a racist. She's been called a thief. We plan to pursue that, he said. Marino clarified that they wished no ill will against the men in the video, and their complaints are against the media outlets who suggested she was a racist. If you knew that wasn't your bike, and you put your hand there and basically locked the bike back up so that she couldn't go off with it, even though you knew that she had purchased that bike, then you were just out to harass her, in my opinion. Perhaps maybe there was a misunderstanding. Maybe they thought that that was the bike they had ordered. I'm not sure exactly how it works. Maybe they got the serial numbers wrong. It could have been that. It could have been that. But if you knew that you didn't purchase the bike and you did all of that and filmed it, then you were just there to harass her. But like the lawyer said, it's the media outlets who have defamed this woman. The video went viral, and a lot of people made videos on it, I see. And people basically made up their minds about the narrative, probably partly due to the media outlets. People who are prominent black commentators within the media were calling this woman a racist. You just heard what I read from BET. People had no sympathy for this woman. No sympathy, because she's white. So, I mean, if you're happy with that kind of world in 2023, that we can demonize someone just for being white, we can ignore them crying and calling for help just because they're white, like they're incapable of being scared, like they're incapable of having real emotion. It's no different from how people spoke about black people back in the day, who sought to dehumanize people based on their race. That's what this rhetoric does. So I would like for us to get back to the time where people can remain objective. But as soon as the word racism or a hint of racism is connected to an incident, everyone loses their logic and objectivity. Everyone, including people who should know better, who are in the media, who should do their due diligence. So if they get sued, and apparently they are going to get sued, lawsuits are going to be filed. I hope they will learn from this. I'm not holding my breath, but I'm hoping that this will be a huge learning experience and people will think twice before defaming someone just because of the color of their skin. The lawyer's telling the world that he has the receipts and you're saying, well, unless I see it. But when this incident first took off, nobody was asking for receipts. Nobody was asking for proof about who purchased the bike, whether it's from the young man or from the woman. Nobody was asking. They ran with it. But now a lawyer is telling you he has receipts, and obviously he's going to have to present them in court. That's his job. You're not convinced. Okay. So, if you follow this case, hopefully you will see the receipts with your own eyes. And then what? Even when the receipts are shown to the world visibly, people aren't going to apologize and show sympathy to this woman. It's okay to assume that somebody is a racist because they're white, till proven otherwise. which usually involves jumping through a whole lot of hoops where the bar is raised all the time when it comes to for somebody to prove they're not a racist. So I hope every aspect of this story, all the details are revealed so people know the truth. And those who have defamed her, you know, I hope each and every one of them issue an apology. So let me know what you think. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video, God willing.